Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off first and foremost by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach. Double honors to our elders and apostles, of great millstone, who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutations, blessings to those that are doing this work in truth and sincerity. Now, I tried to do this video earlier. However, I ran into a bit of an issue, so I couldn't. But by now, everyone should know that Trump went over there to China because brother's been laying it down all day. Okay. However, there is a huge significance to what the move that Trump made, the digital ID that was announced by the King of England, and uh, and the collapse of the U.S. dollar. All those things tie into each other. Now, I did a video yesterday, the day before yesterday, and this video, we were discussing the tokenization of real world assets. So basically, they rolled out the tokenization of real world assets via the blockchain, and they legitimized or they filed uh, the crypto companies. Well, we're gonna get into it, okay? And I'll break it down as we go. But what you're seeing here is all of these prophecies are converging, okay, and everything is happening all at once. And as Elder Apostle Tahar says, if you miss a day, you miss a lot. Okay. So I got a couple of precepts that I'm gonna bring out. Um uh and very first one is gonna be Job 5 and 12. We're gonna start it off with that. It says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so their hands cannot perform their enterprise. And what is the their enterprise? Let's see. All right. So you see, what does it say? It says uh, a net. Can't read it, but a net conceptus nervos ordo seclorum, which basically means he favors our enterprise or something like that. The apostles go into it all the time. Let's look into it a little bit deeper. Yeah. So a net coeptus located above the finished pyramid translates to God has favored our undertakings or enterprise. Okay. So, and it basically goes into what we just read in here in Job, where it says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so their hands cannot perform their enterprise. And what is their enterprise? Their enterprise is a new world order. Okay. Order out of chaos, Odo op chaos, which is order out of chaos. Okay, and that's something that they aim to accomplish, right? And Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is saying here that he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Verse 13: he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. Okay, so he takes them in their own devices and their own craftiness. Look what's happening right now with Trump and the United States, right? As the scriptures say, is there no more wisdom in teaming? Because teaming is is a chief place in Edom, okay? And uh basically that's saying, hey Edom, where's your wisdom at? Okay? Because there's no more because he keeps making these dumbass decisions thinking that he's gonna, capstone his new world order. All right. Okay. So the Lord is going to disappoint his enterprise. Now, um, we see that we have a series of videos here. Okay. And I'm going to start off with this one because this goes all the way back. This was May 12th when she made this video, and I like her. She really goes into some heavy details about what's happening in the political arena. Um, Lizzie Millard, I believe that's what her name. Elisa Ray Millard or whatever. Um, but she goes into some very good details about what's happening, and she just gives you the facts. That's one of the reasons why I like her. She don't sugarcoat it, and she tells you exactly what's going on. And I've been watching her for quite some time now. So I'm gonna play her video, but then I have several other videos, and these videos are kind of long, but we're gonna tie them all in together because ultimately this goes to serve prophecies that are coming to pass. Okay, um, this is a what we call it, a polycrisis. Okay, I think that's what you call it, a polycrisis here in America, where all of these things are converging on America all at one time. Okay, so you know it's really high time to wake up out of sleep and understand where we are in this game that we're in, man. You know, this, which is really not a game. I was just saying that figuratively. All right, it's really time, for you Jakes has been on the fence to get off the fence because prophecy is kicking off and things are moving along very, very quickly. And all of these things tie into one another: the collapse of the dollar, the introduction of the digital ID, the rollout of the blockchain technology, and the visit to China. All of that shit correlates to the MOTV and end time prophecy. Okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this video.
President Trump just said he does not care how much his war with Iran is impacting your wallet.
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all.
Here are the facts. According to
Now, they had, if I'm not mistaken, they had the nuclear deal with Iran, and I believe Iran was willing to meet all of the requirements that the United States set forth, right, to not have a nuclear weapon. But did you hear what he said? He said, I don't give two shits about Americans, basically. Right? He said, my biggest issue is Iran not having a war, not the people that are under your rulership. Which shows you that this man is not fit for rulership. These people aren't fit for rulership. I'm gonna play this video next, okay? Because the one in the thumbnail, all right? Because this video right here, I heard some very egregious things that Trump was doing in China, okay? Calling Xi Jinping a great leader and all those different things, just showing all type of weakness, which shows you this man and this country is finished. It's through, okay? And they're trying to hold on to whatever, what's the word? Any visual, okay? They want to visually look powerful, but underneath, they ain't got no. The teeth is taken out of this place, okay? So let's continue on.
today's inflation report, as of April of 2026, this war with Iran is hitting your wallet hard and on a lot of fronts. And to add insult to injury, today's report also found that whatever small wage increase you may have seen over the last year just got wiped out. And I think we need to brace ourselves for more of this financial hardship because there's no end in sight to the war. Now, before I share the troubling numbers from today's Consumer Price Index report and share what else President Trump had to say about today's inflation report, which you're going to want to hear, I want to thank my paid Facts HQ subscribers for voting overwhelmingly for this story as the bonus this week. If you want to vote on next week's bonus story and get access to my private live event, which is happening tomorrow night, plus some other cool perks from me, make sure you follow these easy steps and you become a paid subscriber too. It is because of my awesome paid Facts HQ subscribers that I am able to continue to bring the news to you every single day. Without them, this page would disappear. So if you want to help support my work, and of course, only if you can, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Okay, so first, according to today's CPI report, inflation in the month of April increased 3.8% over April of last year. 3.8%. That is the fastest increase of inflation that we have seen since May of 2023. For the record, the Federal Reserve wants that number to be 2%. 3.8% is nowhere near 2%. Of course, it is also nowhere near the 9.1% peak inflation we saw coming out of the pandemic in June of 2022. But the pandemic wasn't a choice. That inflation spike happened to the whole world. This war with Iran was Trump's choice. But he said today he made that choice for a good reason.
Mr. President, your promise to bring inflation down is now at its highest level in 3 years. Are your policies not working?
No,
What's
my
happening?
policies are working incredibly. If you go back to just before the war, for the last 3 months, inflation was at 1.7%. Now, we had a choice. Let these lunatics have a nuclear weapon. If you want to do that, then you're a stupid person, and you happen to be. I mean, I know you very well. And as soon as this war is over, which will not be long, you're going to see oil prices drop, and you're going to see a stock market, which is already at the highest point in history, go through the roof. You're going to see the golden age of America, frankly, and you're seeing it now.
Just for some clarity, I don't know where in the world the president is getting an inflation number at 1.7%. In the 3 months prior to the beginning of the war with Iran, which is the time frame Trump is talking about, according to Trump's own government, inflation was 2.7% in December of 2025 and 2.4% in both January and February of 2026. None of those numbers are anywhere near 1.7%.
All right.
Far from it.
So that was pretty much the point on that. Now you can see that inflation is up. Oh, actually, she had one more where she was
Whether
talking
you
about
think
the wage
we are
versus
seeing the
the
golden age
wage
of
versus
America
inflation gap.
is up to you. Now, I'm going to show you the actual numbers of how this war with Iran is impacting inflation according to today's report in a second. But before I do that, I want to put these numbers I'm about to share with you into some context because, as I mentioned, for the first time in 3 years, inflation is now outpacing your wage growth, which is why you probably feel like it's hard to afford just the basics. This data is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it is the inflation rate versus wage growth from January of 2022 all the way till April of 2026. The blue line is inflation. The red line is wage growth. Ideally, as consumers, we want to see wages out.
Now you see now, right? You know, from COVID, it dropped, and then we were good for about, between 2023 and early 2025. But going into 2026, you can start to see now inflation is rising above your actual wages. Okay, so what does this all lead to? It all leads to the collapse of the dollar and debt. So let's go to Habakkuk. Let's just get that real quick. Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. It says, Habakkuk 2 and 5, it says, Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell. So we know he creates hell no matter where he goes, and is his death. Death follows him, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Verse 6, it says, Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increases that which is not his, how long? And to him that laden himself with thick clay. And we've been into this before. That thick clay goes into the Hebrew word abadia, which means heavy debts. Okay? Now this heavy debt that Esau has, he has linked it to all of the people in America. Okay? And all of your spending money. So when you go to the store, things cost you more money. When you go to the gas pump, things cost you more money. And it's because of the heavy debts that's imposed on this place. Okay, Americans' credit score is trash. All right, America can't borrow money. The bond market for America is crazy jacked up. Nobody wants to buy U.S. bonds, and those are the things that will prop up our economy. Is those U.S. bonds that are bought by other countries, and other countries hold those bonds for a set amount of time and accrue interest. Well, because the United States has such a horrible credit score, you know, no one wants to, and the things that are happening, no one wants to deal with America. Okay, so let's go back to that channel and let's look at this video because I didn't see this. I didn't listen to it. However, there's been many videos going on about how Trump just basically, took Xi Jinping's his butt and spread the cheeks and kissed right in the middle, if you know what I mean. Okay, because he wants some type of $1 trillion investment into United States infrastructure. But anyway, let's go ahead and play this video.
What really happened during President Trump's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping? Did China really issue a warning to the United States over Taiwan or say that the U.S. was a nation in decline? The answer is there are a lot of words to dissect, but not a lot of facts. So let me explain. President Trump is now preparing to start his second day of meetings with President Xi, but the two met yesterday, and that's where this is all coming from. And before I share everything we know, you need to understand anytime world leaders meet like this, each side issues what's called a readout. That readout explains to the public what was said and what was agreed to between leaders. Importantly, each side's readout is meant to make its leader look strong and powerful to the people of his country. You understand what I mean? Each readout is going to make their president look like a tough guy. So it's really up to you to decide which side you want to believe, or if you want to believe some things from one and some things from the other. Okay, so here are the readouts from the United States and from China. The White House readout is pretty short and sweet, and this is the lengthy readout from the Chinese Foreign Ministry. Both agree that Trump and Xi discussed ways to enhance economic cooperation between the two countries. And both agreed that the two sides discussed trade, in particular, agricultural trade, though there are some differences about what was actually promised when it comes to agricultural trade. But that's about it. The readout from the White House says the two talked about China allowing American businesses to do more business in China and about continuing to end the flow of fentanyl. Then the White House said that Trump and Xi agreed that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open to support the free flow of energy, and that President Xi made clear China's opposition to Iran charging tolls in the strait or having a nuclear weapon. The White House also said Xi expressed interest in purchasing more American oil. The Chinese readout says none of that. Now, to be fair, there is a vague reference at the end that says the two heads of state exchanged views on major international and regional issues, such as the situation in the Middle East. But that definitely does not say that President Xi agreed that the strait needs to be open or that Iran should not be allowed to charge tolls or have a nuclear weapon. Instead, the Chinese readout talked a lot about strengthening the relationship between the United
This is President Xi stressed that China is committed to a steady, sound, and sensible development of China-U.S. relations. I agree with President Trump on the new vision of building a constructive China-U.S. relations, strategic stability. This will provide strategic guidance for China and the U.S. relations over the next 3 years beyond, and will. Okay, now. We're going to go to another video in just a second because he took a bunch of tech billionaires there. Now, this is, in my opinion, what I think is moving more so toward the digital system, okay? And the digital system is basically the mark of the beast, the MOTB, okay? Because he took a bunch of tech gurus over there to China with him. He didn't take any heads of state. He took the technocracy, okay? So why would he take the technocracy? Well, China is the leader in the world, like I said, like Klaus Schwab says, that the world need to emulate China because China, you can't do shit in China without the government knowing, okay? You say something off on your phone, you ain't gonna be able to ride the bus, you ain't gonna be able to get a car or even get into your house, okay? This is how totalitarian China is, and they want that same technology here. This is the beast system that they want to roll out all across the world. Okay? Now, let's go back to, let's look at this video here. Um, she goes into, you know, uh, the tech gurus and another big one, which was King, the King of England. Can't remember his name, but without further ado, let's play it.
President Trump be taking all the tech? Why would President Trump be taking all the tech giants, all the bank CEOs?
So you got Jan Fraser, Citigroup, Tim Cook, Apple, Elon Musk, Tesla, Brian Sykes, Cargill, Larry Fink, BlackRock, Kelly Ortberg, Boeing, Ryan McInerney, Visa, Chuck Robbins, Cisco, Jacob Dyson, Illumina, Jim Anderson, Coherent, Seiji, Mayrata, Micron, and so on and so forth. As you see, MasterCard, Meta, Goldman Sachs, and all that. These are all tech gurus. All right, now why would he be taking them? He didn't take any heads of state, but that's why everything ties into one another. All right, going back to what I brought out in the book of Job, 5 and 12 about him, his enterprise. All these ties into the prophecies of the enterprise, and we're watching all these prophecies come to pass right before our eyes, which shows you that this man, his system is coming to an end. Okay, this is why it's very important to stay strong in this truth. I know, men have jobs, men have stresses, and we a lot of us really can't put it in like we want to, but when you can get it in, and for those of you who haven't repented yet, hey, time is short, man. That window of forgiveness, that window of repentance is closing, and real soon, you're not gonna have any choice. There's gonna be let him who is filthy be filthy still, okay? Because we're coming to an end of the opportunity. All right, so let's continue on.
With him, all of these major CEO companies flew with President Trump to meet with Xi Jinping. So there are two major breaking stories today. If you're not caught up, I want to catch you up. First, let's start with international breaking news. In the United Kingdom, King Charles announced today that they are going to go full force with the digital ID infrastructure, which is going to take over the banking system along with your physical identity, your physical digital structure.
My ministers will also proceed with the introduction of digital ID that will modernize how citizens interact with public services.
Basically, Starmer made it very clear at the beginning of this year that if you do not comply with this digital ID infrastructure that's going to be implemented, which was now validated by King Charles, that you are going to have a hard time getting socially verified. You understand? Socially verified, that if you do not verify yourself or comply with the system, you cannot participate in the society. Understand that part. President Trump did not travel to China alone. He took all the tech mongols, the tech giants, the big companies, banking infrastructure CEOs, BlackRock, all the creatures, the swamp of the deep state, like the people that we were supposed to drain. He took those vultures, those creatures are now leached on to the president, flew with him to China to meet with Xi Jinping. The same day that King Charles announces that digital ID will be going live soon. What is the one thing that China has mastered in the past century? If you've been following the meetings in Davos, you are...
Now let's look up, because like I said, all this stuff ties into one another. Now let's look up COSA. Okay. All right. Now, COSA, right, is the Online Safety Act. It is a bipartisan U.S. congressional bill designed to protect minors from digital harms like bullying, mental health struggles, and predatory exploration by compelling social media platforms to implement stricter safety defaults. Now, what they don't tell you in this particular article, it says that this will COSA bill it says no, the Kids Online Safety Act does not explicitly requires users to upload a driver's license or government ID. However, critics argue this, and this is just a talking point that they use. However, critics argue that it could force platforms to implement age verification systems, which is exactly what they're going to do. This is just a way for them to implement an ID system to get your ass identified online. Okay? So it says it could argue that forces platforms to implement age verification systems, which might lead to requesting ID to distinguish minors from adults. How are they going to make sure that you're 18 or over if they don't ask you for your ID? It's just like going into a gas station and trying to get a pack of cigarettes or a beer. It's the same type of deal. Okay? They're going to want your ID, and this is a way for them to implement digital ID and force you to use your digital ID in order to access the internet. Now, this also ties into the famine of the word, but I just wanted to bring that out, that this COSA thing is another aspect of it, of them taking control of the internet. Now, here it says, duty of care requirements. The bill mandates that online platforms take action to prevent harmful content from reaching minors. To comply, companies may choose to implement strict age verification to ensure users are over 18. Okay? Now, how are they going to do that if they don't card everybody? Which means that you're going to have an ID, and eventually it's going to be a digital ID. All right? So all these roads lead to the same place. The collapse of the dollar, the inflation, okay? The tech gurus going over to China, right? All of these things are coming to a head, all right? So this is why the scriptures say we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, because we see that all of these things are intertwined together, all right? So we're going to listen to a little bit more. And, you know, they try to do these talking points and say things like may, or, you know, it's not a mandate, to make you feel like, okay, well, I'm not going to have to. No, bro, you're going to have to do that shit, man. You're going to need, even on your cell phone, you're going to have to constantly do biometric identification until it gets to the point where people are just going to be like, they're going to be like, okay, well, get your digital ID. Get your digital biometric image uploaded to the internet. Get the M to the R to the K, MAR to the K. This is what is about to happen. Okay? You think they passing all this stuff and they putting all these things into place just because? No. All of these roads are leading to the same place. Totalitarian control. And this is why we keep saying, man, hey, for y'all out there hey, listen, when all of this shit go down, it's going to happen with so much fierceness and so much force that if you ain't already prepared spiritually for it, you're not going to be able to prepare. If you get caught out there, you're going to be caught out there. It's going to get really, really bad. Really bad. Okay?
Understand that Klaus Schwab himself said every single nation needs to look to China when it comes to digital surveillance and one governing system transition into the new world order. Our president, who was supposed to drain the swamp, has taken the swamp with him. to China to negotiate and broker deals on behalf of the American people. And these deals, I tell you, my friend, are going to involve.
All right, now that's enough for her. Now, I'll play him next, but there's another video that I came up earlier, which I think this guy, it's hard to say whether or not he's an insider or not. Um, is it here? Let me check. Cause there's so many, man. We just went over Kosa. Yeah, here it is. It was on TikTok. Let me send it to myself real quick. All right, there we go.
AI surveillance state. Everything you do online,
What's next? Your prediction box.
the world will move towards an AI surveillance state. Everything you do online is being recorded and is being inputted into the database to figure out who you are, what you want, and how to control you. And they think this is progress, by the way. This is progress because I'm making you a better person, right?
I feel like that's already happening.
I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
What does that mean in reality for the average person? Because, we're seeing some of these big companies like OpenAI and Anthropic all sort of signing up to government military surveillance projects. What does that mean for the average person?
Right. So for the average person, it means two things. It means digital ID and digital currency.
Okay.
So what that will allow is for the government to basically monitor everything you do online and control all financial transactions. It can basically program your bank account. So like you can't buy cigarettes or you can't buy drugs. And this will allow the government to basically categorize everyone and put everyone into a certain database to monitor that person. And once you're able to categorize everyone, you are able to use AI to predict their behavior.
Isn't this what goes on in some parts of the world?
This is what goes on in China. And that's how I know about this.
How does it work in China?
Well, in China, we all have digital ID. If you want to access anything in China, you need your digital ID. So if you want to open a bank account, you have to use a digital ID. If you want to use any e-payments, you have to use digital ID. If you want to use a phone, you have to use digital ID. Okay, so everyone's part of this national database, and then what this allows government to do is basically monitor everything you do, because basically, depending on how you buy things, I can then.
And that was basically all we needed to do to know. Like he just went into how you're gonna be able to buy or sell, right? It's gonna be a social thing, and it's gonna be in every facet of your life. Okay. Now we just saw King Charles go into it, okay, about the digital ID, and now we just seen Trump go over to China, okay, with all of the tech gurus. What is that suggesting? Why did he go over there with all of the tech gurus? All of the ones that are, a lot of them that are plugged into direct commerce type interaction, like BlackRock and Visa and MasterCard and Meta. Okay, so you got your social and your financial institutions. All right, why would they be going over there? Well, they're going over there, in my opinion, to adopt these different systems from China, which they already got them. Okay, but this is just another another thing that they're doing to bring in the MOTB, because all roads point to that. All right, so you're gonna see it all here very soon. Okay, But they're going to collapse everything first because a lot of people are going to buck up against this shit. Okay? So they're going to make it to where you don't have nothing and you lose everything, and then people are going to say, you know, for the sake of having some type of peace and some sake of they're going to bring it back, okay? But just showing you where all roads are leading. Now, here's the next video, but let's bring out a scripture real quick. Let's go to Job. Book of Job, chapter 5. And verse 20. It says, that's not what I wanted. My bad. I just went to the wrong one. It's lucky. It's supposed to be Job 20 and 22. And it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So when this devil who thinks he's so super crafty, you know, he's going to get taken out while he's putting everything together. All right. All right, and as we brought out earlier in Job 5 and 13, he's going to be taken in his own craftiness. All right? So this devil is not going to get everything. He's not going to put this together. All right? It's going to look like he is, and he's going to get to the point to where he's about to put the capstone on, but that's when the Lord is going to rain his fury upon him. All right? So this is this right here shows you where America is going. This video here, okay? Let's go ahead and play this.
So Wall Street has officially been replaced and everything changes from this moment on. In one single week of April 2026, 3 things happened that should be on the front page of America, but they're not. April 21st, SEC Chairman Paul Atkins stands at the Economic Club of Washington and announces something called the Innovation Exemption. In plain English, it means the SEC just said that we are allowing tokenized stocks now. So we're talking about Apple, Tesla, NVIDIA.
Now, tokenized means that you can basically use digital money, all right, for real world assets and real world property. Now, I know you may be saying to yourself, well, you know, we have Bitcoin and all that. No. That's not what that's saying. This is much broader than that. That means that every single physical product has a digital value. That's what that means. Every single physical product has a digital value. Okay? Which means that things are not going to be traded in currencies anymore. Okay? These things are going to be valued digitally. Okay? Not physically. That's what that tokenization means. So they're going to tokenize real estate, right? So that's going to have a digital value. So your house, your car, all those things are going to be a digital value. All right? Not how much is the dollar worth in Bitcoin and then you use Bitcoin to buy that item. No, it's going to be a digital value, not a physical not a fiat value assigned to a particular product, but a digital one. Okay? That's what that means, the tokenization. All right?
can soon trade directly on DeFi protocols. Listen to what I'm saying. No broker, no clearinghouse, nothing. No 3-day settlement. Settled on-chain in seconds. The 233-year-old monopoly of the New York Stock Exchange just got a 12 to 36-month expiration date. Then on April 22nd, the very next day, a company called Infinite launches business bank accounts, okay, that combine fiat and stablecoin payments through one API. It sounds boring, but it's not. The bank that's actually powering this is Erebor Bank, chartered by the OCC, FDIC insured, founded by Palmer Luckey of Anduril, backed by Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, okay? That's the same Peter Thiel network that built PayPal, Palantir, and trained David Sachs, Trump's White House crypto czar. Same circle, same link. That's not a coincidence. I don't think so at all. Erebor holds stablecoins on its balance sheet. It's the first U.S. bank designed from the ground up to be a stablecoin bank for AI companies, defense contractors, and crypto businesses. The Thiel network just built their own bank. It gets crazier. April 23rd, a day after that, over 120 crypto companies, we're talking about Coinbase, Ripple, Kraken, Circle, Solana, Policy Institute, Consensus, all of them signed a coordinated letter demanding the Senate Banking Committee schedule a markup on the Clarity Act. There was 3 days, 3 moves. Look at the pattern. Day 1, the SEC opens the legal door for tokenized stocks on blockchain. Day 2, the Thiel Network Bank goes live with an actual plumbing to make stablecoin businesses banking real. Day 3, the entire crypto industry locks arm, okay, and presses Washington to finalize the legal framework. That's not 3 different news stories. That's what we call a coordinated rollout. The legal layer, the banking layer, the political layer, all activated in 3 days. The infrastructure for crypto to swallow Wall Street isn't coming. It launched an attack last week, and the people that own the rails are going to own the next decade when it comes to finance. God has been showing me this for years. The transfer of wealth is
God ain't showing you nothing, man. But anyway, but as you can see from, if you take everything that was in this video, from the collapse of the dollar to the UK, the king, or the so-called king, announcing digital currency, digital ID, and all of that stuff, to the visit to China, right, with all of these tech oligarchs, to the rollout of the tokenization of all of these different stable coins, you can already see where this is going. This is going straight. And then with the COSA, right, you needing your ID to access the internet, giving them control over the internet, you can see where all of this is going. Okay? You can see that this is headed to totalitarian control, the MOTB. All right? That's where this is going. All right? And it's no longer coming. This is here. This is here. All right? And all hell is about to break loose in America very, very soon. All right? Jacob's trouble is here. We're already in Jacob's trouble. You see what's happening with the redistricting, the redistricting of the Civil Rights Act. You know how they gutting it, and the vote. I'm so lucky, the Voters' Right Act, but they also gutting the Civil Rights Act too, right? So you got these protests, which is probably going to be in my next lesson, because Jake still want to remain relevant in this place, and fuck this place, man. Okay, we're at the end of his world. We're at the end of Esau's world. We're at the end of this system. This thing is about to come to an end. You know? Let's go to 2nd Ezra 9 real quick. It says, "He answered me then and said, Measure the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the times of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." So aren't we seeing all of these prophecies coming to pass? Aren't you seeing all this stuff happening right before your eyes? The Lord is visiting this place. Okay? It says, therefore, when thou shalt be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people of the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. The end is manifested. We're at the end of this man's world. We're at the end of this man's system. Okay? And he's doing everything he can to stop this from happening. But hey, you can't do nothing against the truth before the truth. Every move this man makes pushes us closer to the end of his world. Okay? Every move he makes pushes us closer. This is why we've been speaking these things for years, starting with our elders and the apostles on down, decades even, and now it's all here. And y'all still straddling the fence. You better repent, man. Because once we get to the point where the windows and the doors of repentance are closed, there ain't no coming back and saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." It's over with. You done had your chance. You're on the internet and you see that thumbnail pop up, and instead of clicking on it, you move past it, or you done walk past the camp and on the highways and the byways, and you just ignored it. You know. Or you just you scoff. Hey, well, what can you scoff at now? Because everything we've been saying is happening. Okay? And the civil war and the sedition is about to happen soon too. I seen a video, which I'm probably gonna do a video about it tomorrow, of a shooting at a Senate house. Now explain that. Okay? So this is going down. So let's grab one more precept and go ahead and close it out. And we're gonna go to Revelation 13. Revelation 13 and start at verse 16. It says, "And he causes all, both small or great, rich or poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." And if you look at all of the evidence that was laid out, from the collapse of the dollar to the visit to China to the tokenization of real world assets against cryptocurrency, okay, and what was the other thing? And the declaration of digital currency by King Charles, right? You see that all of these things are coming to a head. And where does it go? Where does it go? It goes right here to the MOTB. All right? But the Lord said that he was going to interrupt this enterprise. But before he does that, hey, Jacob, you're going to have to go through it. This world is going to have to go through it. But Jake, you still have an opportunity to repent. But when all these things happen, that thing is going out the window. Okay? So, with that, I pray this is an edifying lesson. I'm going to end it off by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Karkadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostle, great millstone. To the next time I came, I say shalom.